Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Monday. It's August 12th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And just a quick look at our daily chart. You can see that it just looks kind of like a range day. We did make a new high, higher low and higher high, and it looks like we closed slightly higher, not by much, but enough to say we closed higher. So you can see we found some support off the trend line there. It's pretty much where the opening was. So anyway, will we continue higher, or is this maybe some topping action? We'll just have to see. Um, I still think I mean, we've really recovered quite a bit of the oversold stuff. I mean, look how much we were oversold here, way below those lines, and you just don't see that very often. So we were way oversold. We've relieved some of that, so we could try to turn lower again. But I still think the path of least resistance is to the upside. So we'll see where we go from here. But it's just hard to know at this moment. So anyway, let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart, take a look, and we'll go through the trades. Okay, here's a look at our 2000 tick chart. You can see it's just a range day. We had a break out the low side, then a break out the high side a couple of times. We just couldn't push forward, and we ended up trending lower. We never could reach the lows though, so most of the support was right along here around 53.50 to 53.60, somewhere in that range, and we did end up closing a little higher. So they ran it up during the thin moments here late in the trading session, and we are open again. It's after 5 now, so the market is open. It looks like we're trending a little bit lower at the moment. So there's not a lot of trades today, but there's a few. You just had to be real patient. Just not a very good trading day. You get these huge moves, and then they just reverse, and you just don't. I mean, there were a couple of chances to catch these at the, uh, at the top of the move or the bottom of the move. But if you missed that, you pretty much missed it. So there just weren't a lot of opportunities. But let's zoom in here and we'll go through the trades. There was no news today, so nothing to really drive the market. We're just working off of whatever's going on. But 7 o'clock came as we're running up here and topping out. And this was a third entry short. If it had been a second entry with that big signal bar, I'd have probably said take it. Um, but notice, I'd call this a double bottom, but you get a first entry and then there's a second entry, and then so that's a third entry. And there was a break in new high. I mean, it's a possibility you still take that trade, but the fact that we're still in this spiking channel, I think it's risky. So I wouldn't take it. I'll be honest with you. I didn't mark it earlier, but anyway, it is what it is. And then we just start working sideways. But we're well outside this trading range. But notice how we pushed lower here and closed outside, and then came back to the top. Found it actually broke higher and turned down. And you got a real solid bar here. This is going to trap people most likely. I don't know if I'd take that on the engulfing bar, but when it closed outside the range like that, and we've already pushed out just a couple of bars earlier, you might take that trade. And so I marked it. I liked it. Guaranteed this probably traps some people up here. This big bullish bar, and people don't understand how prices work, and they're taught to trade the breakout, and it breaks out there, and they all get trapped long, and it reverses, and they got to exit. And there's a lower high here, but we've moved way too far to call that a lower high, and it's not really a reversal or anything like that. It probably acts as a trap, but I don't think I would take that trade either. And then, of course, you just get these first entries all the way down. And if you understand, I mean, it's a fairly strong trend, but I just, we still hadn't broke below the lows here. So I'd sit tight on it and just kind of wait and see what happens. We do finally get a break here, and you get a first entry, and you actually get a second entry here, but this bar didn't even, if it had made an equal high, I'd said maybe you go short, but you're getting real close to the lows now. But it's too bad this bar wasn't any good when the second entry triggered, because you would have had enough room to get out there. And you're looking for a new low, and you might get it and you might not. because this support might be stronger than this move down. Although that's a pretty strong move down. So, and you don't have a lot of price action to prove this. So if that was a good second entry, I would have taken it. But the way my chart's set up, it's not. So you can't. And of course, you get the little failed break lower. Then you get a higher low, still away from the EMA with enough room to scalp out. I like going long there. There's a failure here as well, but it's on the wrong side of the EMA. I don't think you can take that. And then, of course, it rockets off here, and there's no setup. And it comes back to the trend line here, but again, no setup. There's just a first entry there. I mean, you might argue, hey, there's a triple test here. It looks a little, it almost looks like a little range. And we did just break out the highs, so if it breaks out again, it may take off. So that's another one. I just don't like going long into that resistance, but we did already break out, so there's a possibility. If it would have closed outside, I would have liked it better. But that's a possibility because this is a strong move up. You'll probably retest the highs, make a new high, retest the highs of the range. And you can see we're just chopping along here. I don't see anything that I'd want to go short or long. You do have a double top here, but that just looks like one move up to me. There's a couple of swings there. So, I mean, that's tempting, but I would wait. You can see it would have worked, but you see it ends up still going higher. And then you get another lower high here, but the signal bar is no good like usual. But you do get the reversal here, and this is where you'd be looking for a reversal. It is back into the support resistance, and we bounced there. I mean, we went through it several times, but we hung up there a couple of times too. So I marked that one green. I wasn't crazy about it. It would have been better if you would have got another break higher here and a second entry short with a good signal bar, and that's not a good signal bar. If you'd have got a signal bar that looked like this, then yeah, maybe. So if you didn't take that one, you just don't get a chance to trade that thing. And then you make a little double bottom, you run back to the trend line, and you get a second entry short right here. And that bar is 8 ticks, relatively small bar. It's a second entry short, it's a lower high, it's right off the key entry point. You're looking for a retest of the lows. I like that setup a lot. Unfortunately, it doesn't go anywhere. I mean, you might have got, let's just look at it. I think it's 3 or 4 or 5 points. So you could have got 3 to 5 points out of that with a runner. So it's still a good setup. It's nothing like, your move over here, but you still could have got an entry in 3 to 4, maybe even 5, depending on how you played it. But if you exited right there around that double bottom, you'd have got close to 5 points on a runner there, maybe. So just something to think about. And notice we got a bunch of resistance, but we keep making slightly higher highs and higher lows here. And that's a first entry, second entry. But look how many times we bounced off that. That was the close. So that was probably our target to the downside. This is where we open and you have that gap. Actually, I'll take that back. We've already filled that gap. But you'll notice prices do bounce off that multiple times a lot during the day like it did here. So, yeah, that was not a retest or a move to fill the gap because that came right here. And that's what you had to figure your target was at a minimum. And then if you kept going, it'd be the lows. And you can see that's pretty much worked out like you would expect. But here, this just looks like a short trap to me. And look at it go. They're wanting to take this thing higher, back to the highs. And you're working up, close outside, new high. And this closes back inside. Big bearish bar that actually breaks higher and turns down. It looked like maybe you might get a chance to trade that on the engulfing bar, but you don't. But I still like going short just to try to ride it back. And you probably would have got a runner on this one. There's a good chance you could. And, you could have got anywhere from 8 to 11 points, 7 to 11 points, fairly easy on that. And then we just start working sideways again. Again, you break out here. This is another trap. Look at that big bullish bar, and it ticks one tick higher and turns down. I marked this green because it does make a new high, but it's been kind of running up and down, and it's also a second entry short. Well, we're not really looking for one. Here we've already had a break in new low, not by much. So I marked it green. You got another one here, but you can't go short there. And then this one is the signal bar is the big stem with the green bar. If this would have made an equal high or higher high, I'd have said go short there. But oops, didn't mean to do that. But you just didn't get it. So I didn't mark it at all because it doesn't qualify. But I wanted to point it out. And what I would say here is we hadn't got a lot of setups today. And while this is not ideal, you might still take that because it's easily we've turned down multiple times here. And that's a pretty bearish bar, and it is a second entry short. Notice the new low, first entry, second entry. Of course, you're not looking for second entries here. You can get chopped up on those. But maybe you take that trade. That's the reason I pointed that arrow, just so I wouldn't forget about it. It's not ideal, and I didn't mark it. But it's just something to think about. When you get a day like this and you don't get any ideal setups, I mean, even though I'm not going to mark that, I mean, there's reasons that you might argue for that trade. You're just fudging it by a tick there, maybe. Maybe it's 2 ticks. I'm not sure. What's the high of this one? High there is 84.50, and this one's 84, so it's 2 ticks. I was thinking it was 1 tick, but it doesn't matter. Same. It's really the same issue. Is it just doesn't. This is really your signal bar, and this is just an inside bar. But it is acting like a range still, and because it's a range, it closed inside. It's very bearish. The odds are it may do what it's been doing, which is go to the other side. So anyway, just something to think about. This runs on down, bounces, then you get a green, the one running up, you get a close outside, and that's a huge move to a new high. I don't know what happened right here. Maybe they thought it was going to reverse again, but then it sells off just as quick and comes back. You do get a second entry long there, but that's on the wrong side, and you've already got your move up, so now you're looking for a move down. And I don't know if that would have even worked if you took it. Yeah, it would have worked. I mean, it just does have enough ticks, but it's not worth taking. I wouldn't take it, not with it being below the EMA. And the fact that this one's played out, and so now you're looking for a retest of the low, which is down here. And I just don't see anything there that would tip me. You can't enter down here. This is just congestion and inside bars. And then it bounces, and you get the green one working up. But that's a first entry, and that's a first entry. And then finally you get a first entry, second entry, and a decent signal bar. So I like that one just to retest the high, and maybe it'll head to the other side, but at the very least you should retest the high here. And you can see you get a couple of legs up, and then you just kind of start chopping sideways. But notice you got a triple test here. I don't like that bar. It's got too much stem. But it comes back, and the reason I mark this one green is because it does make a little bit lower low, but it still closes well inside. It is a little late in the day too, so you got to be careful with that. You don't want to take a loser right here at the end of the day. So I did mark it green, but I somewhat like that one. It's clearly 2 legs down too. So, and that's after a break and 2 legs up. You get 2 legs down, but there's no denying it looks like a range, and I think it is a range. So, and it ends up going lower in the end. So just a day with there's just no real direction here, and the market's just trying to make something happen in one direction or the other, and it just keeps reversing. And you got to be careful on these days. You just never know how they're going to play out. Definitely lower volume today, so some of the volatility slowed down a little bit, I think. But there it is, not much happening. The last couple of videos we had were 30 minutes or so, so I'm not going to beat around the bush on this one. I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow, but I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.